Hello everyone, welcome back to another spoiler video. This is August 8th. This is going to be for the Merciless Rage deck. This is supposed to be the Madness theme. This is something I'm looking forward to because Madness doesn't really have a ton of support, and it would be cool to see exactly what new things they can come up with. Notable reprints, it's kind of earlier in the day as I'm doing this video, but a really good card. It's not expensive, but it's one of the better Madness cards before this deck. Big Game Hunter. For 1 black, if you happen to discard it, you get to play it from exile like all other Madness spells. It enters the battlefield and destroys a target creature power 4 or greater, and it can't be regenerated, so that's a lot of problem creatures in Commander. So this definitely was a big pick for me to be reprinted in the deck. Even though I didn't do a top 10 Madness before Commander 2019 list, this probably would have been high up, if not the best card. But most of what we have to talk about is a lot of new stuff, pretty interesting stuff. First card I'm going to talk about is Grimoire of the Dead, 4-mana legendary artifact. You can pay 1 tap it to discard a card, put a study counter on a Grimoire of the Dead. You can tap it to remove 3 study counters from Grimoire of the Dead and sacrifice it to put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control, and they're black zombies in addition to their other colors and types. Now this is kind of like a Rise of the Dark Realms, but significantly worse because you have to activate it multiple times, get more study counters on it in order to do this in the first place. That is a big problem though, because in a multiplayer game you don't know how long it's going to be in between turns, so your opponents will have a lot of time to deal with it before you're able to remove the 3 study counters. Hedonist Trove is a 7-mana black enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from target opponent's graveyard. You may play land cards exiled with Hedonist Trove, and you may cast non-land cards exiled with Hedonist Trove, but you can't cast more than 1 spell this way each turn, which I think is a fantastic compromise there. It's pretty much like your Yawgmoth's willing an opponent, but instead of until end of turn, you can kind of take advantage of what their graveyard was for a long time. I think it's a quality card in black, and this is what you tend to see in black, a lot of punishment for your opponents. Curse of Fool's Wisdom is a 6-mana aura curse. Enchant player. Whenever enchanted player draws a card, they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. This has Madness of 4, which makes the spell significantly cheaper, and it's perfect for a Madness deck. It's not going to do anything else for Madness other than the fact that it has Madness itself, but it's a pretty cool way to punish an opponent all while gaining some life for yourself. Then we have Skyfire Phoenix, 4 mana in red for a 3/3 flying haste. When you cast your commander, return Skyfire Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's kind of like all the other Phoenixes in Magic. They have something to do with coming back from the dead. It's pretty much a Phoenix thing. Kind of cool that it interacts with commander. We have a pretty cool black card here, Nightmare Unmaking. 5 mana black sorcery, choose 1, exile each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand. The second mode is exile each creature with power less than the number of cards in your hand. Pretty good situational removal. It's not really hard to empty your hand in black and red. You can build aggressive strategies and maybe only leave yourself with a couple cards in the hand anyway, and it should remove most creatures. On the other hand, if you're playing a deck where you're drawing a bunch of cards, just simply exile each creature with power less than the number of cards in your hand. So very good manipulation there. Usually you know the deck you're going to put it into. And then we have probably the coolest card I've seen today. Aeon Engine, 5-mana artifact, enters the battlefield tapped, and there's a big reason why it's awesome. You can tap it to exile Aeon Engine, reverse the game's turn order, which is kind of insane when you think about punishing a single opponent, or really anyone that just wanted to go in turn order, take their normal turn. While it will probably resume in a different order, you have altered the game significantly, and initially it's going to be kind of like a time warp, where all you do is just play this on the person's turn who went after you. That way you can go again after they go. But this is just a really cool card. It's something that you would probably expect to see in an unset because it is kind of off the wall. I mean, that's one of the rules of the game, especially in multiplayer. If you go clockwise, and you're going to have to go counterclockwise. It's kind of like the wall commander, where you're going to change the game in a significant way. It could make it fun, it could make it miserable. Definitely a lot of risk involved in playing something like this. And now we have the commander options. If you were unaware, Kerik, son of Yawgmoth is the monocolored legendary creature from the deck, which made sense because you can make the Madness cost cheaper by only having to pay 2 life for each black. First legendary creature I want to talk about is Grevin, Predator Captain, 5 mana, 5/5 legendary human warrior with menace. He gets +X/+O, where X is the amount of life you lost this turn, and when he attacks you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you draw cards equal to that creature's power, and you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. So there's the whole reason why he gets a huge power boost. you're going to be losing life, you're going to be drawing cards, kind of what you would expect in black. Doesn't really interest me that much. I mean, it's a good quality card. If you're not dealing a ton of damage by getting through with Menace, you're going to be drawing a lot of cards. Overall, though, not super interesting to build around. Doesn't really get the creative juices flowing for me. And then the last legendary creature option we have to go over for Commander 2019 is Chainer Nightmare Adept. So we get a new Chainer, 4 mana, 3/2, human minion. You discard a card, you may cast a creature card from your graveyard this turn. You can only do that once each turn. And whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gains haste until your next turn. I believe this works well with Madness because you're technically not casting them from your hand. Madness cards go to exile first and then they're cast, so those creatures should get haste. But this is pretty cool. It's kind of like Kerik Ghost Chieftain, where you can just cast a creature from your graveyard. If I had any problem with black and red in the past, it was an inability to recover. So having a decent commander option like this that can allow me to do that, while obviously having its own restrictions, being able to only do it once a turn, I think it's fair. However, unlike Anjay, you don't really get the card draw, which is yet another problem I have with black and red, is kind of running out of gas. But I do like the fact that you can just bring a creature back from the graveyard. It is a discard outlet, so if you're thinking about putting it into a Madness deck, you could put it in there for that reason. Overall, though, I think it's a solid card in red and black. That's going to do it for today's spoilers, though. That looks like it's about everything for Commander 2019. Obviously, there's other cards, and I will definitely make a top 10 list for Commander 2019, probably next week. So a lot of the new and unique cards are really what I'm going to focus on. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Voidier signing off. See you all next video.